Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Play, Pause, Rewind. We are back after the Thanksgiving holiday for our 120th episode, which is insane.
Yeah.
Niles, how have you been over the Thanksgiving holiday and since our last recording?
Plump and happy. It's. I'm sure everyone can relate. Ate a lot of good food. Saw some good family. Had some great conversations. Good reconnecting with folks. And it's nice to kind of take some time to, not think about work or anything else and just focus on the present and everything. Thanksgiving's one of my favorite holidays just because you get to sit around, eat food, and watch football and and get drunk. It's a good time.
We're all having a drink in the afternoon,
right?
Yeah, pretty good overall. I went out to LA to my little sister's place for Thanksgiving this year. Normally we do it here in Denver, and pretty good time overall. Relaxing. I took a lot of time off work, which I needed. Saw a couple movies. Caught up with some of our LA based friends, which was a lot of fun. And, I'll give you details on conversations that were had when we're not recording a podcast, because that's none of the audience's business. It was a lot of fun doing that. And yeah, I also love Thanksgiving. You just have to dissociate it from the historical context.
Yes.
And appreciate it for family and food and football. And don't. Yeah, the original thing maybe not so good, but that's
don't think about it. Don't think about it.
No, don't think about it.
Just focus on the bastardization of the holiday today.
yeah, exactly. It's like we have bastardized it into a family event, and I'm okay with that. I think we can just move on from the bad shit and not celebrate that, because the version we grew up celebrating. That's not how it happened, friends. I'm very sorry.
It's a myth. Yeah.
It's a myth, yes. But we, on this podcast, review movies and, in some cases, TV shows, which is what we're doing this week. And we are returning once again to speak about Star Wars Visions Volume 3, continuing the trend from the first two seasons. The third volume of Star Wars Visions contains 9 animated shorts from a variety of animation studios around the world, focusing on different characters and aspects of the Star Wars universe. This season is also the first time we have seen continuations from older episodes, which is an interesting change for this series. Niles, what are your initial thoughts on Star Wars Visions Volume 3?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's I said this before on our previous reviews of season 1 and 2. We did episodes on both for Visions, so those are on our podcast. If you're interested, please go check them out. Episodes 19 and 61. Hard to believe so much time has passed. It's almost basically 101 episodes since since season 1.
That is crazy.
It's crazy to think about, but those were great conversations. And if you listen to those episodes, maybe I'll sound like a little bit of a broken record here, but I said this in those episodes. Visions to me feels like a breath of fresh air in an otherwise stagnant and stale universe. Let me kind of elaborate on that. Star Wars, in my opinion, has been a very limited universe for a very long time. This is pre-Disney, whatever. Just for a long time, it's been very kind of restricted in what they could do and like what kind of stories you could, explore there. And the lore of the Skywalker saga also makes it challenging for the franchise to create new and innovative and groundbreaking stories. You have like this beat, this happens, Luke has to get here, it's all kind of the series of events. It's like you can't mess with that.
The canon.
Yeah, the canon of it all. Yeah, you just can't mess with it. But the franchise, it consistently uses like the same character archetypes over and over again, the same settings, the same kind of visuals, the same tropes, the same structural beats, the same visuals, etc., etc. And I don't know about you, I don't know about anybody else, but I kind of get tired of that after a while, and I want something new and original. And I think a lot of fans are desperate for something that's like that, like new and original, like Andor, something that's just groundbreaking, really high quality, just fantastic new story set within the universe. But the challenge with this franchise is you have to balance that originality with the expectations of all these generations of fans. You have OG, you have prequel, you have sequel, you have Disney era, all these kinds of different fans of different age ranges and have very differing opinions on what Star Wars is and should be. And, Disney has taken some creative risks. Hasn't always worked out for them, like The Acolyte, Last Jedi to a certain extent. But it has worked in other cases. But I think that's where Visions comes in and it really excels because Visions exists within this unique space within the Star Wars franchise. It's every episode's short, 20 minutes, 25 minutes max. And every story is more or less unconnected to the main canon of the universe of the franchise. Yeah. So Visions, all these different stories that come out through Visions, they can really take these creative risks. They can explore stories that are very niche and may likely resonate with one generation of fans over others. So I just really appreciate the diversity of storytelling within Visions, the creative risks they take, how innovative everything feels. And I got to say, I'm thoroughly pleased with this third season as well. I think there are some episodes that are just truly, truly exceptional. Many are great. Some are good, but I don't think that there's like a single episode in season 3 where I was like, this is terrible. I don't like this. Like it's all pretty good. Like the caliber of quality isn't always consistent in my opinion, but I'm okay with it because there's all types of Star Wars fans. So some episodes will resonate with us, others who aren't me, and that's fine. And, and these are some of the most creative things I've seen in Star Wars in a very long time. I'm really happy with this third season. Dylan, what are some of your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I continue to really enjoy this show quite a bit. And I think this format fits right at home in the Star Wars franchise. Like you were alluding to what you were saying earlier, the canon of it all sort of I think is a big limiting factor in the main Star Wars continuity. And I have gotten to a point where I find that to be annoying. I am kind of sick of how everything is getting more and more filled in, which is why I'm kind of like the like 5 years after Return of the Jedi era, I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what's happening 5 years after Return of the Jedi anymore. I'm done. Move on to anything else. Like, and especially since like in The Force Awakens, we know the New Republic gets blown up and all of it's like all the stuff that they build up in this time frame we're focusing on now in the TV shows. It's like, well, it kind of doesn't work out. So I'm kind of like, we can just move on from this. And as I think I've said this in our earlier episodes too, like every mainline saga film starts with the text "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." And the way this series is able to exist without any form of continuity or canon or anything like that, I think plays into that mantra much better than the other branches of the franchise right now. And I think that's something I really appreciated. It's like an animation studio and a group of writers can just say, like, we want to tell this story in Star Wars. And they can do it. It doesn't matter if it fits in with what Luke is up to or what Anakin was doing or what Rey was doing. It's not important. It's myth. And that ties into, the origins of the franchise with George Lucas and all of that stuff. And I also think this season had a couple instances of really, really pushing the boundaries in terms of how it conveys storytelling within the framework of Star Wars. Like there are some big swings here, right? Yes. In terms of narrative presentation. And that is something that if you if you tried to show that to like the core Star Wars fan base in a theater, like a lot of people would just shit themselves. Like people couldn't handle The Last Jedi, they're not going to be able to handle the episode of this season Black. Like, I'm sorry, you're not. If you're not like intellectually capable of making a jump with Luke Skywalker's character from Return of the Jedi to The Last Jedi, you're not going to be on board with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and I think, yeah, which is, and like I like when Disney of all things like takes a risk. Like Andor is a big risk. Again, we've said this in our episodes on that show. I'm shocked that the Disney Corporation let them make that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I like the sequel trilogy for the most part. We have a 3.5 hour YouTube video on it on our second channel. Go check it out if you want to hear what we think about that trilogy. Pretty good video, I will say, if I do say so myself.
I think so
too. But I there is something I would like to see from this series going forward, though, if it is renewed for another season or more. I'm not sure if it has been or will be, but I would like to see a bit more flexibility in terms of the format of each episode or each story. I am invested enough in several storylines and characters that I wouldn't mind seeing even feature-length episodes or just more frequent continuations. And we'll get more into that in spoilers. Yes. But there's some now storylines, I will say, because we've had multiple interactions with these characters, that it feels like there's a desire to tell more stories with them. And I would like this to be... venue isn't the right word, but like a vehicle for those stories to be expanded on in a larger way than they are right now. We'll circle back to that in spoilers too, but beyond that, like, I continue to be very impressed with the animation quality and variety of animation, and I'd recommend it. If you like Star Wars, if you like the first 2 seasons of this is for you. Check it out.
Exactly.
What about you? Any final non-spoiler thoughts?
100% recommend. Yeah, let's get into spoilers. I want to talk about some of these stories.
All right, let's start with the ones that are continuing story arcs. There are 3.
Yes.
The Duel, Payback, obviously a follow-up to The Duel. The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope, a follow-up to The Ninth Jedi. And The Lost Ones, a follow-up to The Village Bride. And I didn't have time to rewatch The Village Bride, but I did rewatch The Duel and The Ninth Jedi, just because I didn't remember the plots of them all that well, and I wanted, if they were sequels, I wanted to remember. I was really, what did you think of the idea of returning to these characters, actually, just in general?
I'm all for it. Because I think that these also were some of the stronger stories from the first 2 seasons, or it was just the first season, if I remember right. Either way, I thought that they were really powerful, and they resonated with me really strongly, especially the Duel. I thought that was just, that's the first episode of the entire series, and it just hits you. It's like a pow, just socks you right in the mouth. And I think that it just begs you as a viewer to go back and watch it again. And I really liked The Village Bride as well, The Ninth Jedi. I thought these were very rich stories, and there was a lot to be explored there. So I'm happy that we got to go back and check these out again.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really happy that we got to return to them because, like, as we've mentioned in our season 2 episode at least, but I think our season 1 review as well, like, several episodes in the first 2 seasons felt like launching pads for larger stories. Like, The Ninth Jedi ends with the main girl and the like Margrave guy and the other Jedi dude we're going out into space and we're going to go find your dad, and then it ends, and it's like, okay, so that's like telling us we're going to get a continuation, right?
Yeah.
And then in season 2, there's like the one with the young Jedi kid and the pilot girl who was working in the Temple of Rocks or whatever. I don't remember the details of it, but there's like the big ring that they have a fight on. It was a cool one, and it was one that I remember calling out. It's like, I want to see more of this. I feel like we could get more from these characters, but this brings me back to what I said in non-spoilers, though, about wanting some longer or more frequent episodes, specifically regarding The Ninth Jedi. I think is the best example of this season, because this was great. We'll talk about it more in a minute, but I thought it was a fun episode. But it definitely feels like an episode you would see maybe like 2/3 of the way through the season in a full season of TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like, oh, in this one, the main character gets separated from her friends and she meets a new friend and goes on a little side adventure, stuff like that. And it's great. There's nothing wrong with it, but it feels like it's part of a larger whole that we're not getting. And it makes me think that some of these studios clearly have larger stories that they want to tell with their characters, and maybe visions could be expanded in scope a bit beyond just like an anthology of 9 episodes. Like we could have a full season of the Ninth Jedi, for example. Like there's enough going on there for something like that.
100%. I mean, yeah, I would pay money. I am paying money for this TV subscription, but there's a streaming subscription. But like I would pay good money to see like a whole series that is just the Ronin Jedi, doing his thing, going around, being a badass, killing other Siths. That is so fun. But then there's like some other stories. Like that's the beautiful thing about Visions is that I think there are these stories that are absolutely one-offs that like we don't need any more time with those characters, and I don't think there's any more depth there. Like I think like the second episode in the entire series is like the Tatooine pod racing thing or whatever, and I'm like, I don't need any more of this. Like I think this is kind of like perfect. Just give us this 13 minutes and then done. I never need to go back to these characters. But yeah, like these other ones, the Ninth Jedi, the Ronin, the Village Bride, perfect.
Yeah, there's enough to mine there. But speaking of the Ronin, I guess we can go to our episode by episode breakdown now. Episode 1, the duel payback from Studio Kamikaze Duga, excuse me, with support from Anima. I think this works great as it feels like another standalone adventure for this Ronin-like character, which fits very well into that archetype. Like the masterless samurai wandering from place to place, comes across adventures and engages with them. And I also really enjoyed the gambling hall that's built between the two AT-ATs.
So little, cool.
Like, building in between. It's so creative.
It's incredible. Like I love this idea of scavenging and repurposing these war relics into just like an actual building that people can use. And then I love too that it's still operable. So like during the fight, the controls start working and it's moving and stuff, and I just loved that. I thought that was so creative.
It was great.
Such a neat little detail.
Pro tip though, like if you're gonna build a building in a moving structure, maybe disable the controls ahead of time. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I was so glad to get the duel payback and return to this Ronin Sith because like I said earlier, I fucking love the original duel. I think it's the standout from season 1. The animation style in black and white is so unique, and it's the perfect aesthetic for these Ronin-esque journeys. Like, and I just love how it's like so over the top when he's pulling out his lightsaber. It's like you could just have a button that turns it on, but no, you got to pull it out like an actual sword. Like, it's so over the top and just cool. Like all the characters are so dope. They're just dope as hell. They're really cool. And I think that the payback, it did not disappoint as a follow-up. The setting was innovative and cool as hell, and all the characters, again, so incredible. Not just the Ronin, but like his little droid, like the gambling hall owner guy, and the Grand Master Jedi. He was so cool. Like he's twisted and radical, and he's full of vengeance and kind of blinded by his own grandiosity and like just this warped perspective of like what a Jedi is. And it's like, no, you're kind of like, you're not following the code, dude. You're basically a Sith at this point. And it's just really neat to also see the Jedi as like this antagonistic force. We're so used to seeing Sith characters as like the antagonists, but this time they're the protagonists, and they're actually kind of on the side of good to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just so happy by this, and it's also so neat to see Ewoks again in Star Wars.
Yeah, I know.
I did not see that coming.
Maybe a controversial take even now, but I love the Ewoks. I think they're adorable and silly, and it's the indoor sequence in general of Return of the Jedi is kind of fucking boring, but the Ewoks themselves are delightful. I love them.
I love them. I say like little Ewok witticisms to myself all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
To what you were saying though, like it is interesting that this former Jedi, I think he's like in a very Vader way, like he's more machine at this point, right? It's like his body is kind of gone and he's just like there's nothing left of him. But it kind of reminded me of like our main guy, the Ronin, and the other Sith lady who are enemies, but also will put up with each other sometimes. I suppose it's like they very clearly have just moved on from whatever conflict they were involved in with the Jedi, and they're doing their own thing. But this guy just will not let it go, and it kind of reminds me of you remember the story of that one Japanese soldier who was like found on an island like way after World War II and didn't know the war was done, and it just like kept fighting. It was just like kind of like that. It was like whatever conflict these guys were a part of, it's over. It's gone. And there's just this guy is just so consumed by his mission that he doesn't get it.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison there. Freedom fighter forever, even though you're not fighting for freedom anymore.
Fighting for the freedom of Imperial Japan.
Ooh, brother.
Episode 2, the Song of Four Wings from Project Studio Q. We follow a sort of, rebel Princess Leia-esque character and her little droid. They're doing like a patrol on a snow planet around a rebel base and run into some trouble.
I think it's a fun little narrative. It's I don't think it's crazy compelling. I don't think it's insanely creative story-wise. In a way, it does kind of feel like a rehashed version of the Hoth opener from The Empire Strikes Back, just the aesthetics, and then also she's scouting, and then the Empire basically attacks and whatever. And she is just basically a Princess Leia-esque character, but I'm pushing that all to the side because it's fun. This is just great little sequence. Visuals were really awesome too. I really enjoyed just how everything looked, just kind of popped out from the screen. I thought it was just cute and fun.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed the final battle sequence where the AT-AT sort of emerges from under the ice, and we get like a mecha X-wing transformation, which is
I forgot about that. That was so cool, actually. There's a part of me that like when that happened, I was like, why weren't you just that the whole time? Why even bother with a speeder if you can just be an X-wing?
Well, got to keep a low profile, man.
True.
There.
True.
But she also finds like a little guy, little baby. She rescues, and that's cute. I don't know. It's cute and fun. I don't have a lot to say about it, but it's like that's the nice thing about these is that it's like you get a whole batch of them. There's a whole like range of the stories that you get, and sometimes they're just like there was the one about the little robot kid who wanted to be a Jedi in season 1. I think it's like, oh, that's cute. I like it.
Right? Yeah. They, not all of them need to be like groundbreaking or completely change your perspective on Star Wars. It's just like, if it's fun and it's cute and you have a good time and you're satisfied by it, why not?
Episode 3, The Ninth Jedi, Child of Hope, by Japanese Animation and Studio Production IG. What are your thoughts on this one? The second of our 3 follow-ups.
I definitely enjoyed the story. I thought it was very satisfying. I think personally, I wasn't as enthralled by the story as the other returning narratives, and I think the reason for that was I found the premise of the original Ninth Jedi story to be just so compelling, so strong on its own as a standalone story, because it's you probably remember the details more than I do. I haven't seen it in a few years now, but it was just a solid premise. These 9 Jedi, they're meeting up at a secret location to acquire new lightsabers or something like that. But then it's revealed 7 of them aren't really Jedi; they're Sith, and this chaos ensues. And I just thought this was just a great setup. And personally, I didn't need the follow-up story because of all that and the reveal, but I honestly did forget the whole thing at the end where they have the conversation, like you were talking about earlier. So I'm perfectly happy with this, and I really did enjoy this story of Kara getting separated from her friends and kind of having to find a way to survive. And I liked that cool looking droid too.
Yeah, the one she finds on the big like derelict ship. Yeah, so like to correct what you were saying about it being a standalone story, because it's like halfway through the original, her dad gets kidnapped by the bad guys, Sith something, whatever they are, and then the original one ends with the Margrave, the guy who was like, he looked super shady the whole episode, but he's actually a good guy, and it's like him, Kara, and the other dude who's good. And the big guy who's like the sidekick or whatever. They're like, we're gonna go find your dad now. And so I was like, yay, that's a great one to continue on. What's interesting though is that this follow-up is not about that at all, which is why I feel like it should be part of a much larger season of TV. Like the season should be they're looking for her dad, and then every once in a while there's like a little adventure like this. I liked this adventure. I also like the little robot. I like the setting of that big ship, and just exploring it. It was very interesting, but it's just like it felt odd to follow, like within the scope of this format. This was an interesting and odd way to follow up a cliffhanger.
Sure. Well, yeah, I think to your point that this is like a stop along that journey to find her dad, or maybe that already happened or something like that. But this feels like, just like one piece of that bigger journey.
Right. Yeah. Which is why I'd like to see that more flexibility in visions. It's like, well, if this is a piece of that larger journey, I would like to maybe have a couple more pieces in one go instead of getting it like, because we reviewed season 1 came out in what year? That would have been, you said it was episode 16 of our show. That would have been
19, I think I said
19. Yeah, that was. So we saw part 1 of the 9th Jedi 4 years ago, and
my goodness.
So it's like, if this is gonna be an ongoing story, I would like to check in with it a little bit more frequently. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. Well, I would be so down for a whole 9th Jedi. Just, I don't know, small little mini series, something like that. Yeah, like give me 3 like 30-minute long episodes with these characters or something like that. Like I think that would be perfect.
Yeah. Moving on to episode 4, The Bounty Hunter from Wit Studio. What are your thoughts on this one? I like this one.
I like this one too. This felt like a classic Star Wars story in the best ways. Like, I know I talked at the top about how restricted it is, like that's at the universe, and how I want to see more originality and unique stories. There's a way to do that while still being within the confines of this restrictive universe. It's like, yes, the bounty hunter in this episode, it still adheres to many common tropes of the franchise, like, I don't know, freeing an enslaved population, or a bounty hunter being contracted for a shady job. It's like, there's these kind of small little tropes that come in. But I think this short really does play with those tropes in more or less the perfect way, and because it adds a lot of new ideas along the way, it doesn't feel like an over-the-top rehashing of previous stories. Like, there's new things added in here. Like, she has this co-pilot who's a dual personality droid who's like half protocol droid and then half assassin droid, I think. So it's like she's like he's riding shotgun and he's like half the time he's a maniac who wants to kill everybody, and the other half he's like just a normal guy who's just kind of helping her steer the ship. So I think that was just an awesome addition, and I really like the protagonist Sven as well too. And this was, I think, one of the few Vision stories as well where there is no Force wielder, there's no Force user here. It's just kind of regular people, and I think that adds to the tension and the drama.
Yeah, it's like there's a Jedi at the beginning, right, who attacks her or seems to attack her, but that's not part of the main story.
I think
Am I remembering right?
I can't remember entirely.
But yeah, but she has like a bone to pick against the Jedi for some reason. I think it was like meant to be a misunderstanding, but I liked this character and this like plot. It felt very much like a Western in a lot of ways. Like, oh, you got the job to, from the nice, like well-to-do, like high society person. Seems like a nice, easy job. Just help me out and you'll get everything you need. And then it's like, oh, of course, they're the bad guy. They're capitalism. It's bad.
Yeah.
And they're enslaving the children. And
yes.
it's like, oh, you do the right thing and you stand against, you like help the kids and you overthrow the bad guy. And it was very charming. I liked it a lot.
Charming, yes. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's like a Scooby-Doo. You pull who's the monster behind the mask, and it's like, oh, it's capitalism. It's always been capitalism, everybody. we figured it out.
Yeah,
and I think this story, it also does have some powerful messages about capitalism to a certain extent, but then also industrialism and exploitation, human trafficking. Like there's some potent themes here that are still relevant to our society today, and they didn't need one Force user to illustrate that. Just like Andor, they just did it with regular people trying to find their way in the galaxy.
Yep. And then episode 5, we got Yuko's Treasure from Kinema Citrus. I thought it was cute. I liked it.
Me too.
I like the bear.
I love the bear. I love Billy. He's this big old teddy bear droid character. He's so cute. I think Yuko's Treasure, it has a very beautiful animation style. The animation style in all of these is so beautiful, so crisp. This one's is a good standout. But I think this animation style, when I was watching, I was like, this kind of feels a little similar. Kind of reminded me of like Pokemon animation style to a certain extent. Not entirely. It's just kind of similar to that. And this kind of feels like one of those episodes that maybe was made a little bit more for the younger demographics, for kids. To me, just personally, maybe you feel differently, but the villains, I don't even remember their names, but they were kind of felt silly and cartoonish, especially the way they acted and moved around and are ultimately defeated. They're like pushed off a ledge and they just fall. And then our main characters, I'm blanking on their names right now, but they're like two kids.
Well,
Yuko nice was one of them. Oh yeah, but they're these kids. It's fine. It's not a problem that it's. But as an adult, it kind of makes me a little. It's hard for me to get invested in this narrative that's driven forward by kids. But Star Wars is for kids, and that's how it is. But it's that droid that I love Billy. Billy's so fun. He's so adorable. It's kind of, it was kind of silly when they turned him into Darth Bear, but I'm okay with it overall.
Yeah, but there was like a tragedy and a horror to that as well. It's like this cute like creature who's kind of her guardian in that moment ends up becoming the biggest threat to her. And I think there's especially combining it with a main character who's so young and innocent in a lot of ways, it's like, oh, well, that's a really scary moment. It's like, imagine if you were like a 5-year-old and your teddy bear like started trying to kill you. It's just like it's
Yeah.
supposed to be a cuddly, safe thing, and then it suddenly isn't.
Yeah.
But I like
For sure.
the ending of that one too. Like they go off on their little adventure in the ship. That's the ship is the treasure, I think, from memory.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. It's fun.
The treasure was not friendship; it was an actual item.
A crucial item. But episode 6, The Lost Ones, from Studio Kinema Citrus Co. I thought this worked really well as a continuation, as like it's sort of we have the point of view of a new character sort of encountering someone that we know. In the I forget, I think Kay is her name. Something.
I want to say it's either, I think it's F.
Okay, sorry. But we get to see her sort of like through new eyes. In this sort of way, like she's kind of a co-protagonist, but not as much as she was in the first one, which I kind of enjoyed, actually.
Yeah, I enjoyed this as well because in the Village Bride from the first season, her character, the Jedi character, it felt like she was more working through her own journey of self-discovery, which I found to be very powerful. But yes, she was the protagonist. It was all centered on her. It was on her shoulders, and I still thought that was a really powerful story because I think it was like all about like, well, should she intervene and help out this town? And if she was a true Jedi, she probably wouldn't, because that's the way of life is. But she chooses to intervene, and that's kind of like, I think, her the essence of her character is that she's not a true Jedi all the way through. She's her own person who's supporting and standing up for what's right. And I think the Lost Ones, to your point, it's not entirely focused on her, but I think it does a good job of exploring her background a little bit more, which was really fucking cool. And it does kind of fall into some traditional tropes and beats from Star Wars, like when she was going on the cruiser to like face the Jedi or her former master, and the other character was coming along to kind of like sabotage the ship. I was thinking like, oh, this kind of reminds me of episode 8, where Rey goes on the ship and then Finn and Rose are kind of like trying to sabotage things. I was like, oh, this kind of feels similar. I wonder if I've seen this before. But it's like you get that kind of similar beats there, but the Jedi surrendering themselves for the greater good, confronting their former master turned Sith. But I didn't mind it as much here because I think F is a really cool Jedi. She's a really cool character. I really can't say enough nice things about her, but I also just really loved the aesthetics of like the like observation room in the cruiser, like where the her master was. It was just like, it's all kind of like this grass, but it's all like you can still see all the stars. It's like really really cool.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of the episode 8 parallel, but it is totally there, and, as well as like the duel in the observation room, like the throne room fight in The Last Jedi. I also really like the look of her master, sort of an inverse on what we normally associate with Sith dark side characters, because he's like all in white with long flowing hair. I haven't read or watched Berserk, but I think it's probably like playing off of the villain character in Berserk, whose name I forget, but has like a very angelic appearance, but is kind of a selfish psycho, from what I understand. So I think that aesthetic for a villain is very interesting. I love the way she beats him too, by like planting the explosive on him, and then she gets all cut up, kind of like Anakin, but she wins, and this ends too with like those two characters like all set to go off on another adventure as well. So wouldn't mind checking back in 4 years. See
Absolutely.
where they're at.
I'm all for it. They're cool characters. So and then
episode... episode 7, The Smuggler, from Studio Trigger. They've done a couple of these, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember which
And
ones, but yeah, you're right.
I think they did the one with the brother and sister who were kind of like a riff on Rey and Kylo Ren on the Star Destroyers from
Oh,
season 1.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think they also did Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which is a
Ooh.
great show. Let me double check that.
Well,
But jump in while
yeah. While you
while I'm
double
doing
check
it.
that, the smuggler. This story felt a little more boilerplate Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
kind of classic story than others did this season.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very similar to other narratives, little story arcs in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in my head, I was thinking a lot of A New Hope, where Ben and Luke are escaping Tatooine,
Mm-hmm.
thanks to Han, the smuggler, who they then enlist in the rebellion, and it kind of feels very similar to that story here. Like it's these two characters who are this smuggler who's just trying to get enough credits to get by and doesn't really want any
Mm-hmm.
contact with the Empire, et cetera, et cetera. So then she takes up this precious cargo, which is two people that she's taken off world, and one of them is like the prince of the world, basically. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I don't think it's the most original or innovative narrative in Visions, but
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated it for what it was. It was very satisfying.
Yep.
And I liked how, the Jedi character like really kind of remained stoic and composed until it was like last resort, you have to go and fight. Like that's exactly the bright use of that Jedi character to save her for
Mm-hmm.
last resort. And I liked how they tied it into Yavin 4 at the end too. And it kind of suggested that these characters have a significant role in the rebellion. They're going to take off to go recruit more rebels, and this could be one of those stories that I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of these
Mm-hmm.
ones.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't disagree with the criticisms you've made
Yeah.
either. Like, it is very much like the story of this episode is we need to get to Alderaan, and they get to Alderaan, and it's not blown up. Like, that is kind of the plot trajectory happening here.
Yep.
It's like we have the Jedi Master and the young apprentice, although he is not a Jedi in this version of the story, and then a
Mm-hmm.
smuggler, and they got to get off world and get to a place, and that's how it goes. And that's fine. They're just they're riffing like that. It's like I think it's appropriate within the scope of a franchise to like riff and like what George Lucas says, it's like poetry, it rhymes, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But the characters themselves are very different than our original three. I really liked the speeder chase through the city. I like the look of the city too. It's like on these big cliff faces, and then there are these long bridges going from place to place.
Yeah.
I found it to be a satisfying little adventure, and like I agree with you. Like I would like to revisit these characters going forward as they recruit their army of child soldiers, which is what they plan to do going forward. So questionable actions, but you got to do what you got to do. It's the Empire. You got to fight against them.
Exactly. Yeah. I am doomed to use the weapons of my enemy to destroy them.
But moving on to episode 8, The Bird of Paradise from Polygon Pictures. Take it away.
In my opinion, this episode, The Bird of Paradise, is exceptional. It's one of the standouts for me. In short, this story is about a hot-headed Jedi Padawan who undergoes a series of spiritual trials after being blinded in a battle, literally. And she's kind of this arrogant and impatient student. She's been driven by her emotions. She reminded me of Anakin in a lot of ways, where he was never thinking of where he was, or Luke, what he was doing. She's arrogant, and then she wants everything to kind of come to her naturally and to be fast. She wants to be involved in the action. But then after she loses her eyesight, she's kind of starts, I feel like this whole other realm of vision opens up to her, and she's starting to experience the world in a new way, the Force in a new way. She's pulled between the light and the dark sides as she's traversing the physical and spiritual world. I was just really impressed by this story because it's like, one, I've never seen this exact type of story in Star Wars before, where like a literal Jedi loses their eyes and they need to figure out a way to navigate and come to terms with themselves and their connection with the Force. But then also, I think the lessons that come from this story are very powerful and relevant to everyone. Because, like I said, she's been going at 100% at all times. She doesn't want to slow down. She doesn't want to be patient. She doesn't want to listen to the wisdom of her master and the world around her. And then she's literally forced to slow down and listen to the Force, her inner emotions. And I think it's an incredibly humbling moment of teaching and introspection. And I think that she also kind of arrives at this realization too, that the light cannot exist without the dark and vice versa. Like, you can't completely eradicate the dark and you can't completely eradicate the light. It's a yin yang kind of situation and relationship. And I think that's one of those main themes from the sequel trilogy that really comes through and shines here in this little short.
Yeah. And the thing about being blinded and sort of gaining new sight, like I love that beat, I guess. It comes up in all sorts of things, like in Norse mythology, Odin cuts out his eye to gain true sight. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor loses his eye and gains like a new perspective on things as well. In the Christian Bible, if I'm remembering the story correctly, Saul, who becomes the Apostle Paul, like is blinded. It's like I'm blind but now I see type of thing. It's like it shows up all over the place.
Yes.
It's a cool thing. It's like you have to lose your physical ability to see to gain new insight into the workings of the universe type of thing. It's a very, I don't know how to describe it. I like it. I think it's cool.
It's a solid trope, for lack of a better word, to kind of push your character into some form of development. It's like it's a good impetus to get you going. It's perfect. I think it's really powerful. I do think that this story did kind of tell a little bit more than show at some points.
That was my main negative with it is I wish they'd trusted us a bit more to sort of pick up what it was putting down and like told more with the animation and the character's face, because she is just kind of yapping the whole time. She's narrating like everything she's doing, and it was just a little bit too much. It's like cut that in half probably for me.
Yeah, I was reading like some Reddit discussions on it, and I think some people agree with us that it's like, it could have used one more trim. Just the script, just trim it once more, and it would have been great, I think. The animation, I think, is really awesome, though. I think it's super smooth and really visually distinct from the other episodes as well.
It was very pretty.
Very pretty. I think just kind of pivoting back to some negatives with this, but I think the story was also so segmented by chapters. It was like this chapter and then this chapter and then this chapter. Like, it literally had a title card every like 2 minutes. It's like, I don't know if it needed that, but that's a stylistic choice. And I don't know about that.
Yeah, I feel like they would have been more appropriate, going back to the, broadening the format discussion from earlier, but it's like more appropriate in a longer story, like a movie that had more time to be a bit slower paced. And it's like we could have, three acts punctuated by these title cards. And it felt a little silly, I think, in the span of like an 11-minute short or whatever this was.
It's like overkill. It's like, just let your story breathe and communicate itself. And also just kind of felt that the Sith character at the beginning who blinds the Padawan was a little silly as well, but who am I to judge?
And then the only other thing that I kind of felt like it was missing was, she goes on this whole spiritual journey and gains a new perspective on herself and on the Force and on life, and there's no like reconnecting with the Master or the Sith girl. She just kind of looks out, which to me, based on the trend we've been talking about, it's like maybe we're coming back to this. But I feel like this one could have been a full standalone, and you culminate with her getting like a rematch against the Sith girl, and then just kind of like um winning very
Yeah.
easily. Like she's gained so much strength and character through the Force that the fight that injured her is no longer a challenge or something like that. But the design of this world, especially, and the main character, I thought was really
Mm-hmm.
unique and very very well done. I really liked following this character through her little journey.
Agreed.
Then we got one more episode to chat through, which is episode 9, Black, from David Production, and this one was pretty wild.
I think this was the most visually creative and unique perspective that I've ever seen in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It is a psychedelic experience in the warped mind of a stormtrooper who is literally on the verge of death. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's dying, and all of these trippy animations, it's happening just in his head. There's no like force wielders, there's no like anything like that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy innovative visuals, just like one after another, kind of flowing into one another. I felt like I was watching like a Pink Floyd music video or something like that. Like it was just so fucking cool, and I was just fascinated by this psychedelic journey. He's literally on like the verge of death, and he's reliving things he's
Mm-hmm.
seen, experienced, and it feels like things he hasn't. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I need to rewatch
Mm-hmm.
this because
Yeah.
there's got to be more of like a storyline there. It's kind of hard to decipher. It just felt like
Mm-hmm.
his life and everything he's seen.
Yeah.
But I've often heard that, like, I don't know this from personal experience, obviously, but when you are on death's door, I've heard that you can oftentimes have this trippy journey in your mind, or like even a
Mm-hmm.
third out of body experience, kind of looking down on yourself, or just like the psychedelic kind of stuff happening in your brain. And I think it's quite innovative for Star Wars to showcase this perspective, especially from
Mm-hmm.
this nondescript stormtrooper who's fighting for a fascist organization.
Yeah, I agree. This was probably the biggest creative swing we've seen from the series, and it led to a very unique experience. The animation felt painterly in a lot of ways, and it flowed
Mm-hmm.
so smoothly from one sequence to the next as this stormtrooper is like going through the end of his life. Like it's a pretty singular experience within the franchise, and I like that this Visions project gives Lucasfilm, I guess, an opening for something like this to exist, right? And at the very beginning of it, I was struggling with it just a bit because I was trying to find, like you were talking about, I was trying to find the narrative, I was trying to find the flow of the story, and when it really started working for me was when I just accepted it's like that's not what this is about, and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like letting it wash over me was how it finally clicked, because it isn't, I don't think we're meant to understand like a through line for this guy. I think it's just every like when thoughts are racing through your head, even not when you're dying, it's like it's not necessarily like logical, or sometimes like a random thing will pop in or something that you've heard about will pop in. It was
Mm-hmm.
just it felt very much like a lifetime preceded by decades of war, just all like clashing together in this really psychedelic, colorful nightmare thing.
Yes.
And it really, really worked. And I'm glad that it got made,
Me too.
basically.
Me too. I mean, I think it's so cool. I can't say that
Mm-hmm.
enough. And I think too, this is a very unique perspective to see,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the only other time we've really seen a stormtrooper's perspective has either been like in the Clone Wars TV show when you're literally watching
Mm-hmm.
clones, or
Yep.
like Finn when he's a stormtrooper for like 5 minutes at the start of Force Awakens. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
I think when we just really haven't taken the time, I think, to see it from their perspective. But what is
Mm-hmm.
there to see besides just carnage and PTSD and trauma and pain and war and violence. And it's like, you do get like a little glimmer in there in this experience where it's like, it's just calm and serene. He's just like chilling outside with, I presume, his wife or his mother or something like that. And it's just like super serene, calm for a little bit. And then it nosedives again right into the chaos. And it's like, these guys they probably did live some kind of life that had some love in it, but we don't know.
Yeah. And I like this way of exploring them more than the way some other media things have done it, because it's like there was some push in the expanded material a bit to, sort of humanize people within the Empire. And it's like, they're not all bad. They're just like trying to go to work. It's like, yeah, but they're going to work for the space Nazis, man. Like, this organization was not meant to be humanized. They can just be the bad guys. They are appropriate as the bad guys. And I don't like that. It's like, well, maybe there's good on both sides. It's like, no, there's not. Not this. Not this.
There's heroes on both sides. What?
So I like this because it's not like telling you to feel sorry for him necessarily. It's just like, this individual person is going through a really horrific experience right now, and he's going to take you with him. And that's...
Yep, absolutely he is.
Yeah. But I wanted to sort of close out the conversation on this season of Vision, sort of asking what we would like to see next, or what we expect from the future of this series if it is continuing. For me, as I mentioned many times earlier, I'd like to see the format expand just a bit beyond a seasonal anthology show. Like, maybe Visions is an umbrella project within which smaller series, short films, or even feature films could exist from these different animation studios. Like, it doesn't have to just be seasons of TV. It could expand beyond that and explore different formats.
I agree. Yeah, it could be short films or something like that. Yeah, small little mini series, or just a full length feature. Totally down for that. I'd love to see that. And I think in terms of like story content, I would like to see them continue to explore stories that are not always centered on the Force wielders. I like those stories. Those are fun. I really liked The Duel. The Duel is amazing. And so many of these other ones are so good. The Ninth Jedi, The Village Bride, yada yada. But you can do more stories like The Bounty Hunter, where it's literally just ordinary people trying to make their way through the galaxy and, stand up for the little guy. Like, those stories are interesting. And like, if you look at Andor, the success that had, it's like, it's not focused on the Jedi or the Sith. It's like, it's focused on this bigger struggle, this bigger picture, but on a granular scale, and just like the individuals who are contributing to the rebellion.
Yeah. True. But all in all, Star Wars Visions Volume 3, great stuff. Glad we watched it.
Absolutely.
Loved it. Now let's talk about some other stuff. Excuse me. Niles, what have you been watching since we last recorded?
A few things. I've watched some new things. New things for me, things that I hadn't seen before. One of which was the 1995 movie Home for the Holidays with Holly Hunter. It is exactly what it sounds like. This woman goes home for the holidays. Thanksgiving in particular. It was a Thanksgiving movie. It's one of the few Thanksgiving holiday movies out there. And I think it's really great. It's really funny. It's got a young Robert Downey Jr. in it. I think it's just fun, and it just like focuses on like the chaotic event that is Thanksgiving for a lot of families, where all your relatives come together, and it's like, oh, here comes crazy Aunt Gail who's got 1,000 cats at home, and here's my ultra conservative parents who are like judging me the whole time, and
oh no, the racist uncle, he's here.
Exactly. Oh, here's my finance brother-in-law going to talk to me about capitalism and why we all need to be buying more things. And it's like, it's a good, cozy, fun holiday movie. I definitely enjoyed it. So I would recommend it. It's not too late to watch a Thanksgiving movie, I guess, but it is. We're in December, so maybe it is. Also, I went back with my folks during the holidays, and we rewatched the classic 2004 Dodgeball movie.
Oh my god!
With Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller and Justin Long. There's man. Man, oh man, that movie is dated.
Yeah.
it's still funny, but yeah, there's like, I watched that movie probably way too much growing up, so I know a lot of it by heart, unfortunately. But there's so many things that I quote all the time, like if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. The 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. And bold move, cotton. There's so many like notable quotables that I love from that movie. But yeah, there's like a lot of jokes that just like haven't aged well.
Right.
And just like some things where it's like, oh man, do they really use the R word? Like, that's not cool. Like, oh.
I feel like that era in particular just aged like milk. Like the early 2000s. There was something in the air back then. I think was just like rank.
Yes. Well, yeah, like I can't remember which episode we mentioned it on, but I went back and rewatched Anchorman, and it came out around the same time, and it's like, that movie's still funny, but yeah, there's a lot of jokes in it that just like, like you said, aged like milk. But fun, quotable, definitely made for dudes in a lot of ways. There's just like lots of it's not misogynistic, but yeah. And been rewatching some X-Files episodes, classic. Actually, not really rewatching. I've only seen like a handful of episodes, so I'm going back with my partner and watching some. And man, it's classic. There are some really fun episodes with Mulder and Scully, fantastic characters. And we've also gone back and we started to rewatch season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Just fun. It's just some powerhouse. That's probably up there as like top 3 seasons of Drag Race ever, in my opinion. I think it's just so solid. And I love Bianca Del Rio. She's the queen who wins the season. Spoiler alert, too late. But she's really funny. Fantastic queen.
It sounded like it was like her title in Westeros or something. She's the queen who wins.
The queen who wins. And last thing, you'll love this, Dylan. I'm a cheapskate. And
cheapsake.
Cheapsake, thank you. Cheapsake. I'm a cheap steak. What I mean by that is, I don't know if you remember, but there was a series called Attack on Titan, and it's...
No, I've never heard of it. Can you explain what it's about?
It's so good. And I loved that series. I loved it to death. And it took forever for the English dubs to come out. And they did. But then it took them forever to get on Hulu, which is how I watched it. And I was like, I don't want to pay for another subscription service that I'm probably going to forget to cancel. So I'm just going to wait until it comes out on Hulu. And it did finally, probably 6 months ago, and I finally figured it out. So I finally finished Attack on Titan and watched the final 2 episodes.
That's good.
And can I just say, so amazing. Those final 2 episodes are phenomenal. Oh my god. I watched the first one night, and then the next night I went back and just rewatched that one again because I was just flabbergasted by it. It's so the rumbling, insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's pretty bananas. I love that show. I want to rewatch the whole thing now, like knowing what we know,
right?
Because I don't want to spoil the show here for people who have not watched it, because there is some big shit gets revealed at certain points in the show that changes your entire understanding of what you've been watching.
Yes.
it's pretty wild.
It's very wild. But yeah, what about you, Dylan? What have you been up to since our last episode?
Continuing to read 1984. I haven't gotten all that much farther just because been busy, haven't read as much. But it's just such an interesting world. I really like it a lot. I like I've gotten to know more about like Winston's past a little bit, and that he was married, and that and then you get some insight into what like the purpose of marriage and sex is in this society, and it's like, well, this sounds horrible. I don't want to live in that.
Yeah.
So let's not. Yeah, but good book. I need to like sit down and like do some dedicated reading time soon because I've been slacking a little bit the last couple weeks. I also finally, after our last episode, we reviewed Predator Badlands. I went back and I watched the original Predator for the first time.
Wow.
What a fun movie. It's so great.
It's
such
excellent.
a good time. And I was surprised by how much of the movie I didn't know. Like, because you pick up so much. Like, I've seen so many Predator movies, and you pick up things from osmosis and whatever, but I just I just didn't know a lot of it.
Right?
But
yeah. And now you know all the memes. You know where all the memes come from.
The memes. Yes, I've seen the context for all of the memes. And, I also went to go see tangential to Arnold, the remake of The Running Man, the Glenn Powell version. I thought it was great. It's like
cool.
He's the premise is basically there are these it's a dystopia, and Glenn Powell and his wife don't have enough money for their daughter's medication, and she's gonna die if she doesn't get it. So there are these like game shows that you can go to the network office. The network is like the news station / government, basically. And you can go to their office and be like, I want to try out for the show. And you can get on a show. And the Running Man is one of the games. It's the most dangerous of them, but it has the biggest prize. You don't get to pick which show you go on, it seems like. But it's like the premise of the Running Man is you have to survive 30 days with, there's like a squad of hunters who are looking for you, and everyone in society can like help the hunters by pointing you out, or like finding you, or they can just kill you themselves if they want to. And the like Glenn Powell gets lumped into the Running Man game show. Katie O'Brien is in it as well. Michael Cera is in there. Coleman Domingo, Josh Brolin, and Lee Pace. Like, it's kind of a stacked cast. And, it was just kind of satisfying to watch a movie about a man who's like really bitter and angry at how the, economy of America has fucked him, and just takes matters into his own hands. It's like, I'm going to burn it all down. It's kind of what he's like trying to do. It's good.
Cool.
I think it got pulled from theaters already, which is annoying.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've also been watching the final season of Stranger Things so far.
Cool.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I've always liked this show. I am not someone who thinks the later seasons are bad. Season 4, I think, is my second favorite of the whole show.
Yeah.
I will say it is very distracting whenever Noah Schnapp and Brett Gelman are on screen, because of their horrifying politics. Like, and it is like I give more grace to Noah Schnapp because he's like 20 or whatever, and like people haven't really figured out their politics as of yet. But like Brett Gelman is like pro genocide, basically. He plays the conspiracy theorist character, but
right, that guy.
Yeah, but it's like it is affecting my viewing of the show because I keep thinking like Will Byers is gonna end up being evil, and it's like, no, it's just because his actor is a Zionist. Like I keep getting mixed up because the guy playing him supports Israel, and I think he's gonna turn evil. But other than that, I like the show a lot, and I hope it ends strongly.
Cool.
We'll see, but. And then when I was out in LA, I actually went to the Chinese theater where Star Wars premiered for the first time. We did not get to go into the main area, unfortunately. They were playing Wicked there, and that's not what we were seeing. I saw Wake Up Dead Man, the new Knives Out film from Rian Johnson, and fantastic. I'm going to save most of my thoughts on it because we're doing an episode on it next when it comes out on Netflix. But yeah, we'll talk about that more in the next episode.
Yes.
Also, we saw Wicked for Good, the second part of the film adaptation of the musical Wicked. You know, I liked it. It's like, I think, surprisingly, from what I hear, because like people say the second half of the musical is not as good, and I saw a lot of really negative stuff about the new movie. I think I kind of liked it more than the first movie. I thought the visuals were a bit better. The music is not as good as part one. The songs in part one are more show-stopping than in part two, but I like Wicked. I think it's
cool.
a fun little twist. The way they integrate the Wizard of Oz is like very interesting if you've watched Wizard of Oz, because it paints like the main characters of that movie in a very weird light because their role it's because it's not the Wizard of Oz. It's like a fan fiction twist on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it.
Cool.
I like it. And then the last thing, just as a fun rewatch when we were sitting around doing nothing, rewatched Home Alone, classic Christmas movie.
Good time.
Great stuff. Can't go wrong with Home Alone. But
right on.
That is gonna do it for us for this week.
Wonderful.
We'll be back. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're gonna talk about Wake Up Dead Man, which is why I didn't talk about it tonight.
Yeah, that's gonna be a fun one. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, and just so you all know, our plan is in 2 weeks we're doing Wake Up Dead Man, and then if it works with our travel schedules, we're going to try to get Avatar: Fire and Ash out before the end of the year. It might not work with when we have to leave because we're seeing it on the 18th, and we may just not have time to record an episode before we have to leave town. So if that is the case, we will decide that before next episode. And if next episode is the final one of the year, we will include our like favorite thing we reviewed this year in that episode. And if not, we'll do it in the Avatar one. And if we miss Avatar this year, it'll be the first one in the new year. So,
yeah, buddy.
Stay tuned for all that. We'll see you guys back here in about 2 weeks' time. Stay safe and have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.
Oh my God, wait. Where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at NilesGotNoStyles, and you can follow both of us here on Play, Pause, Rewind. What about you, Dylan? Where can people follow you online?
On Instagram at DylanD1026, on Twitter at DDayMovies, on YouTube at DDayMovies, and like Niles said, both of us here at Play, Pause, Rewind. Okay, now, for real, have a good one out there. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.